What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? It is your boy MM2K back again with what's going to be another fantastic SSC, so many damn S's, SSC podcast. But before we get started, with me butchering names of my own shows and everything, before I butcher these guys' names, let me hurry up and introduce them. First and foremost, we got our co-host, Project Storm. Storm, how are you doing today, my good friend?
Doing pretty good, man. What's going on? Doing really, really good. It's good to see everybody in the chat right now that showed up so far, y'all. We got a whole lot to talk about. You already know how we do it and a little bit of time to get it done. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, we have our good friend who joined us again, my spiritual advisor for all things Stadia. And if you ain't watched this show on Monday, like I said in my video yesterday, you just ain't watching. Our good friend, Clive. London. Clive, how are you doing today, my good friend?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
We had to have you today, man. This is a big week for Stadia.
There's more to come as well, I think.
Absolutely. And a lot of it, you know, we've talked about it too here on this platform, but I think you've done a great job at capsulizing. Hey, guys and gals, relax, calm down. Things are coming. I mean, shout out to Sonny, Cloud Gaming as well. He said things as well, Brian Chappelle and others. But I definitely want to get you on the show, my good friend, because you I think you epitomize, you know, this moment coming and how we should all look at things rationally. So great to have you here. Before we get started, though, I want to say shout out to the homie Aminar in the house with the $5. Aminar, where you been at, my good friend? We was worried about you, man. I was going to check all the hating plots, the plots where people just go hate everything. I was going to go check those out, the haters ball and everything, and see if you were okay. But shout out to Aminar. He says, you know what? I call this community the ghost community because Stadia is dead. Oh, my.
Yo, listen, Aminar was in the stream last night. I don't know. He's not hard to find. Yeah, he was in my stream last night.
He just don't mess with me no more. Oh, okay. I see you, Aminar.
Yeah. I did a negative latency stream, you know, for Stadia and all that. It was cool, man. Stadia just passed the test with no problem. So Aminar was out there.
Man. Aminar, you doing me dirty like that, good brother? Then you come here spraying your propaganda? No, that's all right. That's all right. I can get it, my good brother. But shout out to my homie Aminar. And he also dropped the $2 sticker. He said, game over. This dude is silly. I can't stand him. Shout out to Aminar. Before we go any further, let me see here. Let's look at what we got on the docket here. Of course, we're going to talk about the Resident Evil stuff. And our good friend Clive Linden, I know he has a lot that he can add to this conversation, so we're definitely going to be picking his brain on this. We're going to be talking about the new Stadia. I think that's a tag that has run across our lips here, and I think it's prevalent. A lot of content creators have talked about, hey, are we seeing the fruits of the new Stadia marketing campaign or way that they move forward? We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about today's This Week on Stadia blog. Before we do any of that, let's first pay the bills. Today is SSC Day. That is a show where we talk all things Stadia with me and Project Storm. And today, of course, we have special guest Clive Linden. This show airs every 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Normally, but I was a little late today, you know, fashionably late. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. Check us out. On Thursdays, it's on hiatus right now, but catch us the first week of April. The Commission Podcast, also co-hosted by Storm, myself, Snow Bunny Gaming, and our homegirl Tron of the Sick Humor and King Thrash Roundtable Podcast. Check us out every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then on Saturdays, there is SML Podcast, also co-hosted by Project Storm and myself. That's where we talk all things gaming, you know, with a big focus on Stadia, but it's more interactive than anything. That's the biggest crux of that show. Call-ins, viewer mail, all that stuff. That's every Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, either here on Stadia Dosage or on Project Storm's channel. You definitely want to sub to both so you don't miss an episode. And last but certainly not least is Yang Meets Yang of Gaming. That is a show also co-hosted by the co-host of Everything Project Storm, Snow Bunny Gaming, and the homie Rome Rush every Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that's it, Storm. Before we get into anything, until we get into these subjects, we still got one more thing to do. Let's talk about what you and Clive have been gaming on. We'll start with you, Project Storm. What have you been playing, my friend? And I think there's something special that came out today that you want to talk about, too.
Well, been playing. I played some good old Destiny 2 last night, man. You can never go wrong playing the Crucible. You know, I led my team to victory one game, and then I led my team to a loss in the second game. Now, how can you lead your team to a loss? I don't know. I put up 30 kills, man. Anybody that stopped through and saw that live, you know what I'm talking about. But I put up 30 kills. I did what I had to do. Playing the game on Stadia now. I just want you all to keep this in mind. Playing the game on Stadia at a competitive multiplayer type level, no lag, no latency, no problems. The name of the stream again was Negative Latency, so I did some of that. I also threw some FIFA in there, and the gaming advocate himself, as you see, he dropped that super chat up at the top. But last night we was out there on the field, man, playing FIFA. We played 2 matches. He beat me 2-0 the first game. Then I came back and we tied it up. Now, that's looking like a pattern, MM and Clive, because Chase, you know, we played a couple days ago and it was the same damn thing. He scored like 3 goals on me or something like that. And then we tied the second game. So I wasn't happy about that, man. I kind of like raised a little bit. I said some expletives and all that. I let him fly, man. I didn't care last night. I let him fly. So I'm really not happy with Chase, man, right now. I just want to put it out there. I also played some Star Wars Rogue Squadron on PC with the RTX 3080. Hey, man, I played some PUBG on the Series X, and then I bounced back over to Stadia today. Well, I played Luna this morning. I was on some Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Amazon Luna, right? I don't want to talk about performance or anything right there. It was all right. You know what I mean? But nothing brings me back to cloud gaming like Stadia, man. I just can't. I show the proof. I don't have to talk about it. I could just sit back here, fold my arms, man, because Stadia is just where it's at. So I just before the show, y'all, played Dirt 5. What? You didn't know Dirt 5 was here? It just dropped. That's why you didn't know. Dirt 5, y'all, running smooth as hell, is looking like 4K 60. It's looking real clean. It's feeling like how it felt on my PC when I played it. Now, I don't know about visual. I can tell you right now, the visuals are impressive based on what I saw. I only ran like one race or whatever, but that's all it took for me to know that the game is 60 FPS for sure. So that's all, man. MM2K. I played some other games, but we want to let Clive have a turn. You know, I don't want to dominate the conversation when it comes to games.
Yeah, because they're here for Clive. They don't want to see me or you, Storm. I don't know why. Right. You know, Aminor shows up. That's why Aminor's here. And shout out to Little Tatia Boy. Little Tatia Boy, where you been at, my good friend? Even in Stadia's afterlife, we still have the best community. Oh, wow. Awesome stuff. Clive, what have you been playing, my good friend? Everybody's here for you. We know it. We get it. The people want to know, Clive, what have you been playing this week so far, my friend?
It's mostly FIFA.
Okay, all right.
I'm really sort of getting drawn into it, and it's a good game just to drop in. You know, if you're bored, you've got a spare sort of 5-10 minutes, drop in and play a quick match or something like that.
Yeah.
And the frustration, the real frustrations and satisfactions of watching sport and being involved in sport come through on that game so well. Like I was up in a game and then I was playing, you know, against the computer, whatever AI, and then all of a sudden my keeper goes walkabouts and their striker's onto an empty goal, and I'm thinking, What you idiot? What are you doing? I start shouting at him like I'm in the crowd, going, "You idiot! Where are you going? Where the hell are you going?" You know, like that.
Right.
And then yesterday I was like 2-1 up against Arsenal, and I'd been on a kind of losing streak. So I thought, okay. So then I went, last 10 minutes to go. I thought I've got to see this out. So I started playing what we call keep ball in soccer. Yeah. So you don't go too aggressive. You just keep the ball. Yeah. Just pass, simple passes, keep it simple. Just play the game out for the last 10 minutes. Keep that lead. Don't try and lose, don't lose the ball by attacking. So yeah, I went all defensive and like that, and it kind of worked, and I got the result. And then I played a bit of Volta as well, which is again, that's really fun, 3-on-3.
Yep.
It reminds me of, because I used to play a lot of 5-a-side, and sometimes if people didn't turn up, it was like 3-on-3. And it's very satisfying when you score. You have to work at it, but when you score, like I'm running out of space in clips. Because every time I score, it looks brilliant. So I'm going, clip that.
That is a good looking game, man. I can't deny that.
Yeah, so it plays well, and it looks great. And so I'm having a lot of fun. So that's I can't really think what else I've been playing, because it's just that keeps drawing me back in all the time. So yeah, mostly FIFA, and I'm still only scratching the surface of it, really.
What I've been playing, you know what? I'm going to be guilty. What did I play this week on Stadia? This week, I played some. I did play some more Immortals Phoenix, but I was only doing a comparison. So I really can't say I was playing, because I was, like my good friend Project Storm, I was comparing it to the performance on GFN and Amazon Luna for some more Cloud Gamer Chronicle stuff, so stay tuned for that. I also played a little bit of Saints Row, just a tad bit, you know what I mean? Because I want to set up streams for that, but you got to watch. I did one 5-minute stream and got 6 copyright strikes.
Strikes or claims?
Claims, yep. I got 6 claims because of the radio, so I got to watch out for that. So I had to turn that down and tweak the music that I'm gonna have playing in the background. So you'll see some Saints Row the 3rd remaster streams. That's a fun game. But I got to be honest with y'all, which isn't a bad thing for Stadia. But I'm addicted to Outriders. That demo be calling me. I love that game, and it was so bad, Storm and Clive. I tried to be slick this week and do some Outriders PC gaming on Stadia Dosage. And the people loved it, because the game was coming anyway. So you guys got to look behind the veil of what we're going to be getting on the platform, because it may not be as good, exactly 1v1 pixel by pixel as good as it is on my 3070, but Square Enix and People Can Fly told you that you're going to get top-notch fidelity and performance on Stadia. Those are their words, not mine. So that was just a peer behind the veil there. A lot of Outriders here, and that took up most of my time. So with that said, that's everything that everybody is playing. Let's now get into these topics. All right. First and foremost, let's talk about it, y'all. A little bit of news came out about Stadia earlier this week, right? Monday, my Stadia put a little something out there on Monday.
Just a little something. Resident Evil Village. I always get hung up on what I want to call this thing. Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8, whatever the hell you want to call it, is coming day and date Stadia. Not only that, but Resident Evil 7 is dropping on this platform in about a week. I guess that would be next Wednesday or Tuesday, y'all. I don't know. Is there 30 days in March? I don't know. But 30.
There's 30 days. Okay, so it's going to come next Monday or next Tuesday. Resident Evil 7.
Damn, no, I'm sorry. 31. I'm tripping. April 30th.
Okay. Yeah. So we got day and date, Resident Evil 8, May 25th, that is, I believe. And then April 1st, Stadia Pro. We're getting Resident Evil 7. Clive and then Storm, let me know. How excited are you on this deal altogether? We'll start with Clive.
Well, I mean, we knew, or there was a sort of a lot of assumptions that because of the leak last year, that it was probably coming,
Yeah.
in some form. But the form in which it is coming, i.e., day and date, bundle deal, RE7 as a pro title, like, blew me away.
Yeah.
But also, felt like a certain element of vindication,
Yeah.
or at least, a sort of a big tick, a big sign that sort of said, you see, I'm not just coming, I don't just come on my show
Yeah.
and play a few games
Yes.
and make out I'm some kind of expert. The reason I talk about the things I do is I've worked in the industry.
Yeah.
I work in, and I still work in media industry. I work in IP delivery. I work, this is, I kind of bring that to it. I am a gamer. I have wishful thinking. I hope I hope games coming, but I also know how things sort of work in the industry, which is, causes me a lot of frustration when I see people, talking about certain things in a certain way, or being surprised about the money spent. Stadia spent 10 million bringing. Why? Well, they wasted the money. And it's like, have you no idea how things? No, you clearly don't. So, like, fair enough. How things went. Do you understand how much it costs to make games? How much it costs to port games? How much, what those deals are? That's not just necessarily a case of giving. And I wasn't going to get it all into this right now, but of just giving a publisher a load of money and saying, there we go, thanks, deliver it. There's usually a structure to that, i.e., it's an advance of some sort against potential sales. So it's not sunk totally, sort of written off money. A chunk of it is, a chunk of it's marketing money, a chunk of it is advance against sales, sort of like a guarantee. But then they don't have to pay any more money to, potentially to the publisher until a certain level of sales have been reached, because they've basically paid that in advance, sort of thing. So that's what that money is. It's not just like opening up the window and then chucking $10 million out of that window. It's a bit more kind of, business orientated and nuanced than that. And those sort of monies are not big sums of money, really, in terms of in the realms of how much games cost to make and develop, and the sort of sales expectations and things like that. So, yeah, the point is, so I was, really, I don't want to say sort of blown away, but like really excited that my thoughts and my assumptions based on my experience are sort of being proved correct. And I made a sort of a thing before it was announced. I kind of did make a sort of agreement with myself that, look, because of the toxicity it exists in some elements of the community and the negativity, and that is like, do you know what? There are parts of this community who are just happy to play the games.
Yes.
Yeah, and being part of and enjoying Stadia and talking about Stadia with their mates and stuff like that, in a kind of, you've got Stadia, I've got Stadia, and if people don't want to be part of that club or whatever it is, that's fine. There's no rules about that. Just leave us alone to enjoy our platform. So that's my view. But equally, we shouldn't, be aggressively mean to those people that are trying to put us down. So sort of shut them out. But I tell you what, the announcement by Stadia of this on Monday, it is very, very difficult to not gloat over this.
Yeah.
All the naysayers, like I said, and I made a reference that the bakery was open and humble pie was being baked, ready to serve it down the gobble shoots of all those naysayers.
You get a slice. Yeah. You get a slice.
Yeah, you get a slice. Exactly. We're giving them away. Buy one, get one. It's like, that's I try not to be like that, but I tell you what, it's hard. It's hard because that's how important this is. Yeah, because this is many of the brickbats. Brickbats are constantly thrown at Stadia, and mostly they've been whacked back.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
And this is one of the biggest brickbats. So a lot of people say about all the AAA games, and if you look at it, every major AAA game that is a multi-platform game that is a brand new game being released this year, which are not many when you narrow it down like that, but that's the benchmark by which we need to judge Stadia. And I mentioned it last year. It's better to focus on now Stadia sort of building up its library. People say, yeah, but where's Call of Duty and where's Fortnite? Yes, they would be good, but they're not new games, if that makes sense. What Stadia need to do, that's not to say they shouldn't focus on that as well, because people want those games, is so their sort of business as usual, their sort of status quo position should be to ensure that the brand new games, multi-platform games that come out on Stadia as well. That is their focus. That needs to be their focus. And so far, Hitman 3, first big new game of the year.
Yeah.
Boom. And Stadia. Yeah. Little Nightmares 2, a much vaunted sequel.
Yeah, exactly.
Day and date plus a pro game. Outriders. Day and date. Far Cry 6, day and date. And now Resident Evil, one of the biggest games of the year so far, day and date plus a pro for the older games. So they are, if this is business as usual, in which the pattern seems to suggest it, because there's a pattern here now. We've got the evidence, we've got the data to say, look, so far, every big title of the year that is multi-platform has been released this year, has released on Stadia, and I think you'll find has released day and date. So there is a pattern there, and hopefully that pattern continues to reinforce that. But that's what many of us have said will happen. Just be patient. Just be patient, and it's bearing fruit.
It's definitely bearing fruit, and I'll talk about that after Storm goes. That it's what comes over you, because I can relate. What comes over you when this hits, and it has the effect, and it's not necessarily about the humble pie, even though the humble pie is very sweet. You know what I'm saying? It's a relaxation. It's like, I hate to put this scenario out here, put this simile out here, but it's like when you talk to your kids. I just had this conversation with my wife where my daughter wants to buy things. She's older. She wants to buy things that are outside of her budget. And I tell my wife all the time, stay out of it. She has to learn the hard way. We can't be there to give her the money when she runs out of the money. We can't be there. She has to learn by experience. And I tell my daughter, this is out of your budget. Don't do it. So she goes and buys it anyway. And then all these parts and stuff she has to pay for this automobile, and the expensiveness out of it is out of her budget. And now she comes back to us and she's like, you know what, Mom, Dad, you were right. And then there's that ease that comes over you that says, okay, now I can talk to you. And that's the feeling that I got. Like, with my Fortune 500 experience, and then with your experience, Clive, in the industry, you know what I'm saying, and Storm's experience too, which is interacting with people and others, breaking down the psychology of people, why they might go out here on these certain stints and believe some of this farther region stuff. That's why Storm has been so successful in predicting what he's predicted. Or not, I don't even want to call it prediction. It's just separating the forest from the trees. It's like there's a calm that comes over you to where you say, okay, maybe now some of you are coming back, and maybe now I can talk to some of you again. Maybe not. We'll see. But Storm, what do you think about all this? How excited are you about this whole announcement about Resident Evil coming to the platform?
Well, first of all, Stadia's dead. DED. DED. All right. I have to remind people, first of all, Stadia's dead. Now, second of all, Clive Ellington, who we have on the panel with us, shout out to you today for joining, man. Damn. Clive's been telling y'all in the Monday night chat over on this channel, man. Y'all better tune in. you better tune in.
Better tune in.
If you really want to be informed, man, because I know myself, Stadia Dosage right here, MM2K, we was all in attendance, man. Other people out here in the chat, y'all were there. So it's all in the writing. And Clyde broke some things down in a way that had everybody with question marks over their heads. You know what I'm saying? Everybody with little light bulbs over our heads in the chat. Yep. You know, so it's kind of like all you have to do is just pay attention to the moves. You don't have to speculate then. So I remember Clive and MM, man, people saying Stadia is the platform, is going to be the new place for indie games. That's their focus. Yep. That is their focus. You're going to be able to play all the indie games over Stadia. So guess what? That's not appealing to me. I'm about to bounce. Now, that's what people were kind of saying. You know what I mean? They were about to dip because they didn't pay attention to what Jack Buser said about the game and others who have said that the games are coming to the platform in 2021. Now, Clive, you broke this down as well, Clive. You reminded people about the scale and the scope that they told us about for 2021. That's already in the bag, by the way. So, yeah, MM2K, Project Storm, I don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that big things are about to happen with this platform. All I got to do is just use my 2 ears, use my 2 eyes, you know what I'm saying? Use my fingers and research a little bit. Now, we're in the information age where you could just go and research. All you have to do is type in what games are coming to Stadia. Is Stadia dead? Is it really dead? All that stuff. You could do a little bit of research, people. Now, Resident Evil gets announced. All I heard was crickets, man. I'm talking about all these haters. Man, I'm talking like, where are these guys that was giving me and Rev and all of us hard times? You know what I'm saying? Where were they when Resident Evil just got announced? When they heard that, when they thought Stadia was dying or dead, they came out of the woodworks, man. I mean, profanity, disrespectful comments and everything. Where the hell were they when
everything
Resident Evil Village was announced? And see, I know I'm not the only one that had these thoughts and concerns, right? But I'm just saying, people, the list is so long. Just wait until this is not even the big news for this year. Wait until the bigger news hits. This is big, but wait until the bigger news hits, because I'm telling you, I believe in what Jack Buser, his remarks, when they talked about the scale and the scope or whatever, or I'm not quoting what he said, but it was something about the scale in there of what they were aiming for this year. So people, go ahead and let people convince you if you want. If you want to follow the sheep or whatever and say that Stadia is dead too, you could do that. Or you could say, you know what, man, let me enjoy my time over here like I'm trying to do. I just bought Dirt 5. I didn't think about it as soon as it was available. $60. Boom. Let me get that Dirt 5. I need that. Why? Because I could play it how I want to on Stadia. And I will let y'all know a little secret. Stadia has been running games overall better than my $500 Series X. And as good as my RTX 3080. Now, I'm not talking visuals here, but I'm talking FPS and consistency and all that stuff, y'all. And I can say that because, again, I have the videos to prove it. I have the equipment to prove it. And I stream it at the highest fidelity that YouTube will allow. I'm done.
Just to say that, in a way, the fact that there's something slightly sad that we get so excited about it, because my kind of point is it should be business as usual. Yeah, it should be the expectation. That's the level we need to be. That's what I'm trying to say, is that it is expected that a multi-platform AAA title that's coming to all platforms. That means and Stadia, so those lists at the bottom of the end card at the end of a trailer will say coming to PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Stadia. It's the norm, and it should be the norm, and it is so far this year. It is the norm, and last year, people complained about titles aren't coming or they're not coming day and date, and I said last year, and many people did, I'm not the only one saying. That's because Stadia have come on board late in the development cycle. Yeah. Wait until next year, and it's a bit further down the development cycle. So Stadia is consideration early doors. And now we're seeing the fact that, deals that Stadia did 2 years ago, 18 months ago, that means they've got in early enough to ensure the titles are now becoming, and we'll see it more and more, day and date, and that's the norm. We said it's the norm. That's why I always make that joke. What, Clive? Day and date? Yeah, doofus, live with it. Because it's
doofus.
Yeah, it's the norm. It is the norm. And if it's a couple of weeks out or a month out, I'm not going to hold them to it for whatever reason. But I think you will find going forward, this is the norm. And as long as they keep going like this, yes. I mean, I think the excitement is because we're all relieved that we've got something to go, told you, but we've kind of had it and the pattern. But the more data you get, the stronger your case is, the position you're is. And as the months roll by and as Stadia keep delivering the titles day and day, et cetera, that platform that you're standing on becomes more firm and stronger every day. So it will be the exception rather than the rule. Whereas last year you could argue it was an exception if the title was coming and it was day and date, right? Exactly. You could argue that. Whereas now the exception will be if it isn't coming day and date, and that is our mind. That's where we need to be going forward. And I expect Stadia to be going forward, because that is the expectation of the consumer. And that is what they've been building towards. And now they're focusing all their efforts on that. They know, given the success of, Cyberpunk, as we've seen, and the fact that they're doing the bundle deal again with Resident Evil Village, they know people expect that title to come at the same time, and you get all the marketing buzz at the same time and all the benefits of that. And they know that. They're not stupid. They do everything in their sort of ability to ensure that title is going to come day and date on Stadia, as with all the other platforms.
So in the realm, it sounds like we're in the realm now of talking how big this is for the platform, right? Expectations. Because you will hear a lot of people say, well, I'm jumping around here a little bit, but people will say, oh, you guys are weird for celebrating this. But the way I look at it, and y'all tell me, Storm, we'll start with you. You tell me what you think about this. The reason why we're celebrating this is because I think in a more fathomable scope, if you look at what Stadia is doing, you're looking at them at the same scope that you are at GFN or Luna or Shadow or whatever else is out there, as a cloud gaming platform, which is a 2% business right now, which in no way, shape, form, or fashion is going to put them on the main stage with an Xbox or a PlayStation. Because you can argue, Clive and Storm, that even though the OG Xbox said that their main competitor is PlayStation and they had Halo, they couldn't compete with PlayStation. Technically they were on the same stage, but they weren't. PlayStation walloped them $150 million to 24 million or 29 million. So I think what cloud gaming platforms are doing, all of them, is saying there's this 2% business, these disenfranchised gamers or tech enthusiasts or people that fell into both camps, that, okay, you may not get, for instance, a Resident Evil day and date or Dirt 5 day and date, rather, but the convenience of our tech or the marvel of our tech may suit you more than worrying about scrambling for a $500 box that you got to hit repeat on a Best Buy site, in order to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll be able to deal with maybe some games not coming day and date, opposed to the comfortability level with our platform, and there's a bunch of people out there like that. So we'll work out a lane in that market, and then once we solidify ourselves in that market, then we'll skyrocket to the PlayStation and Xbox market. Storm, what do you think about that? Is that a more fathomable way to look at this, opposed to where you hear a lot of people say, oh no, Google should have came out of the gate battling PlayStation and Xbox? What do you think about that?
First of all, and I thought I said first of all before, so I'm going to use it again right here, right? Stadia is out here playing chess. Stadia is out here trying to take over the damn world, literally, when it comes to this cloud gaming space, right? If you look at the fact Just look at the moves they're making, y'all. Now, I'm just going to throw some out there that people might not be familiar with right here, right? Stadia's out here. We know about the LG partnership, but did we know about the TCL partnership where TCL televisions will include Google TVs this year? Did we know about the Sony partnership where Sony TVs will include Google TV this year?
Oh my.
Now, we know Google TV is coming this year because Stadia has reminded us on Twitter directly several different times. Shout out to Charles Aaron, you know what I mean, for getting an update. I know he was one of the people that got an update, remind of this. So if they're saying the first half of this year is safe to say, not even assume, because I believe in what Stadia says now. Well, everything they say is not going to come to light, but I keep my expectations in check, y'all. Like, for example, we'll say crowd play didn't come day one. Well, Stadia never said it was going to come day one, but it's here now, right? You see what I'm saying? You see what I did there, MM2K? The features that people complain about and all this other stuff that people tend to complain about, it's here. All right. So now I'm talking Google TV. That's coming. How do I know? Well, because Stadia says so. Damn it. That's how I know. They told us that it's coming this year. Now, think about this, y'all. If it's in these TVs, if Google TV is going to be compatible with Stadia or whatever, more compatible than the current Chromecast or whatever that's going to look like this year, those partnerships are going to come to light this year in these TVs that we're seeing, man. What makes y'all think that the switch is not about to be flipped? Because see, Stadia, they're stealthily sneaking into people's home. They don't have to ship you a box. You don't have to worry about your package getting lost or anything like that, right? Unless you order a TV and it doesn't arrive or something like, I don't know. But think about all the millions of TVs, Clive. Millions of TVs from all these brands. And I know some people are going to go look that up. Do your research. Remember what I said. Do your research. Don't listen to Project Storm. Don't listen to MM2K. Don't listen to Clive all the time. Do your research as well. You know? So if these are the moves that they're making right now, I see why people would feel that way, MM2K. I see why people would feel like Stadia is threatening the consoles and all that stuff, because if it's appealing, which it is right now, gameplay-wise, it's very appealing. So if people get their hands on the controller, there's no longer, you can't throw the BS out there. You'll be living in denial at that point. If you try it and it works well for you, then you're living in denial. You know, that's how I feel about it. So I think people in the console space are thinking that Stadia does threaten it because they're hearing xCloud, for example, coming from Xbox. xCloud is supposed to be the truth. We're going to play all our games and all these Game Pass games we got over here, man. Like, it just makes sense, right? But come on, Microsoft, come on, because Stadia's out here looking good. Project Storm keeps streaming this damn high-quality gameplay. Yep. I want him to shut the hell up. Like, I already muted the brother on Twitter. Like, can you please, Microsoft, roll your technology out now? Stadia's out here. I can't take it no more. So that's what you're seeing a lot of, I think, man. MM2K running his mouth, putting memes up of Dave Chappelle and all this stuff, man. Shout out to Thrash. That was funny as hell. I'm sitting up here laughing, man. Thrash is out there. And see, this is what I like, man. I like that because it shows that people are paying attention to Stadia, you know?
Yep.
So I just, man, look, you know my thoughts, bro. I really feel like people just need to understand that Stadia is not here to take their homes. You know what I'm saying? It's not here to take your wife or your kids or anything like that, right? Google's out here trying to make a move like Microsoft made. I got a phone call. Somebody hit me up the other day, said, Storm, Stadia is desperate as hell. They're giving away the premiere editions. I said, yo, this is not the first time, brother. They've given them away before. You know why? Because it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg to produce, I'm sure. And it's their equipment. They can do what the hell they want to do with it. And Google TV is coming. That's the new one.
It's going to be obsolete. So why not get rid of it?
Exactly. So get rid of the old supply. That's what everybody does. Unless I'm wrong, Clive. I know you can help me out, man. Like, so. Yeah, so put all those in people's homes. They've got the stock. Don't just let them. Don't recycle them. Just put them in people's homes and let them try it. Give it away with Resident Evil 8, one of the biggest games of the damn year. 7 sold 8 million plus copies last time I checked, and now 8 is coming. 7 was the biggest Resident Evil game in the series. Now 8 is coming. All right, what you got to say, Clive?
Yeah, I agree. What people don't kind of realize is that Stadia will be ubiquitous. It'll be everywhere. Well, it is already everywhere, but people just don't get that concept. But when it's actually on your telly, I mean, that's your console. When the app is on your telly, that's your console, and you've not spent 500 quid to get that. You bought your TV, and it's just appeared. Yeah. So then you go, okay, what is this Stadia? Let's have a look at the game, and then you see, it's got all the same games that I might get on an Xbox, or I might get on a PlayStation 5 as well. Oh, okay. And that's the thing about that Microsoft and to some degree PlayStation, are looking at. Stadia aren't trying to compete with them in terms of selling boxes. They don't have to.
Exactly.
They just have to sell the service or the concept. That's the fundamental difference. And Xbox know, and I would, and I've sort of touched on it, where I feel that their Xbox, if anything, is slightly, I wouldn't say necessarily hamstrung, but sort of torn between. They're in that transitional period between the old world and the new. They have to compete with PlayStation, and that's about selling boxes to stick under your telly. Yeah. And at the same time, they absolutely fundamentally know, and they're going in all in, that the future has cloud gaming at the center of it. Yeah. So they need to start walking down that path as well. And Google's come in saying, well, actually, we know where the future of gaming is as well. Here is an opportunity for us to get in early and be pioneers in that field, and the others will catch us up. Yeah. We've got catching up to do in terms of building credibility, getting library and all that kind of stuff. But we can steal a march on, Xbox and on PlayStation because they're so focused on selling this generation of boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
hold on. Clive. Do you feel like they're stuck? Do you feel like they're stuck? Like they're sitting on their hands are tied because they have to sell these boxes and they can't just migrate over to the cloud as heavily as they would want to? Do you feel like that's any of that is making sense that I'm saying?
I think strategically Microsoft have recognized that cloud gaming is the space, and have recognized early enough. Yeah, they are in a console generation cycle, and they probably felt, actually, we've got one good push this current generation, and it's not going to be wasted. So I don't think it's wasted. I think there's still cloud gaming is still too early, too nascent, really. So to go all in and discard everything else for Xbox would be foolish. So I think they're doing the right thing in terms of making it so that you can play where you want. So the assumption being you've got your Xbox under your TV, you can play on your TV, you can play on your phone, and you can then go to your PC and play the PC versions of the game, and eventually there'll be an app and you can stream, so it's again that kind of notion of playing where you want. And I think they see that's where the future is. But I think eventually they'll also see that actually spending, they don't make much profit on selling an Xbox. PlayStation historically, they do, sold it as a loss leader, because they want you to buy the games and earn the royalties of all the games that are manufactured for that particular console. So it's more of an issue for Sony, because their business model is building entertainment units. If you think about it,
exactly,
the video recorder, the DVD, the games thing, and that's why they invested in film studios and television studios and companies like that, is to supply IP that people could then watch on the machines that they make. But extensively, their history is making machines that go under your box, under your TV. So it's more of an issue for them. I think Microsoft in the future would gladly look at a way out of not having to produce boxes to sell, because the expenditure in that level is ridiculous, and the risk and the stock and all that. If you could get up a scenario where maybe, where they're doing the so-called, mystery streaming stick or something like that, And I'm not saying that's coming in the next 5 years, maybe not even the next 10, but there will be a point where there's really not much point necessarily having a box or
at all.
Yeah, or the appeal of being able to stream in ridiculous quality with ridiculous lack of latency on your TV, on your TV or whatever it is, for the majority of gamers, casual gamers and medium gamers, it will be good enough. There will always be the hardcore. No, I need to spend 20 grand on a gaming PC with 2 graphics cards. Well, fine. There's always people who want to buy specialist motorbikes. Like rare Harleys or the ones that are made by Keanu Reeves. But most people are quite happy on a Honda or a Suzuki. That's a job. And I think, for the average person, the quality of as we've already seen, as we can see it already now on Stadia, but it's only going to get better. And Xbox, Project X Clouds are going to get better. Luna and all that kind of, it's only going to get better. And the sheer convenience will outride everything else for the average person.
I don't think. See, this is my thoughts to piggyback off of that. I think, and this will be a great segue into, are we seeing the new Stadia? We could talk about that and before we wrap up. But my thoughts are, when Stadia hit the scene, and Clive, you pointed this out, right? You pointed this out perfectly, that a lot of us in the media as well popped all over the fact that Stadia was at GDC, and then they had a presentation at the I.O. And we thought that conversation that they were having at GDC and I.O. was strictly for us. But it wasn't mainly for us, nor strictly for us. It was for the developers. Hence why it's called GDC, damn it, the Game Developers Conference. So we saw all that wow and pizzazz that they presented there. And we said, oh, this is a premier platform that when it launches is to buck up against PlayStation and Xbox. But what we forget is that was Stadia's introduction to the developers across the globe, except for the ones that were already working on the platform. So I think what Stadia did on the offset was they utilized their normal channels to reach out to developers and sell their product to developers. We saw that and we may thought Premier Platform. I'm going to be honest with you. I never thought Premier Platform. I never thought that the platform was trying to come out of the gate and buck against Xbox and PlayStation, just for the sheer fact that it would have to battle against a catalog of 6,000 to 7,000 games. And it's coming at the end of a generation, so I knew that. But we think that, right? And there was at E3 where you had Phil Harrison walking around, and they did have a booth at E3, but they weren't on the stage. But you did have Phil Harrison talking about the convenience of being on Stadia opposed to a console. And I think we may have taken some of that out of context. Some of it may be Stadia's fault. Some of it may be our fault. But we are now, 16 months later, Clive and Storm. 16 months later, and Stadia has been backtracked from that, right? You've even had Jack Buser multiple times come out and say, look, before you see us at an apex of where we can battle against a premier platform, it's going to take years. So this is a marathon, not a sprint. So on the heels of all this evidence and all this, everything that we're seeing, is it proper? You can't be wrong for your opinions, but are you putting it in a proper scope when you are comparing this versus Xbox or PlayStation? Is that conversation too early? Who wants to pick up on that?
Yeah, I'd say. So I've touched on it loads of times from the beginning about the whole GDC thing and who it was aimed at, the target audience. Yeah. And Stadia had been slammed for that and talking about the teraflops and stuff like that, but that wasn't on the marketing sheet, the PR sheet for the consumer.
Yep.
Yeah, that was specifically aimed at an audience of developers and publishers. Yeah, you don't just turn up to GDC; you have to apply. It's like an industry, you know, you go to your boss and you say, I'd like to go to GDC. Can you justify the expense, please? And you fill out your forms and you know, that's you go. But you're going in your industry capacity as a developer, as a publisher. And so specifically that was saying, look, guys, we are entering into the, you know, the gaming arena, as everybody's sort of, you know, been rumored, worst kept secret, all that. This is what we're doing. This is the platform, the console that we're creating, the virtual console that we're creating. These are the power it's got and everything like that. And we saw exactly the same. And we see it when PlayStation announced, you know, and PlayStation, Xbox were like, oh, we won't go first. No, you go first. No, we won't go first. As they held back, sort of saying what the power was and how many teraflops they had and everything like that. You know, again, it's to sort of say, partly to the industry, this is what the machine is capable of. Off you go. So develop your games for our platform. Yeah, because this is what it's capable of, please. So this is exactly. So it's not like, you know, the most consumers are thinking about, are the games looking really cool, and what games, and have you got all the games everybody's expecting? And it's equally, to me, they were very clear. To me, they were clear, but you've touched on it loads of times last year, MM2K, about how, you know, if people don't get the message, you've got to dumb it down. But my view is exactly how dumb do you have to be, you know? But they said,
well, hey, Clive, real quick, let me say, but by the reaction of many, and I love everybody, but I got to keep it real. By the reaction of many, you would suspect that some of us break thermostats and be drinking the mercury out of them. So, you know, you got to dumb it. You might have to dumb it down to the dumbest level possible. I'm sorry, I just had to say it. Go ahead, Clive. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the point they said, and it's going to have these. So we will be releasing it on November the 19th, 2019, and it will be rolling out the features over the year. That's what they said. They were very clear about it.
Absolutely.
For me.
Yes, they were.
So when I got it, I knew I was buying a Founders Edition. And I was some disappointed that some features weren't there. I'll be honest, I'm not sugarcoating it. I was thinking, I was hoping I could do the streaming straight to YouTube, because that's one of the things that, you know, I was got in. But I just, as soon as I realized it wasn't there, I thought, well, yeah, of course they did say they're going to be rolling it out. Now, for whatever reason, some of the features did come a bit late. I mean, they mentioned in January 20, of course, the first stuff they'll deliver in the first quarter. And I think they got almost all of it. But then in February, March, something globally happened that may have knocked some of those things out. We'll give them a pass on that. But they delivered those features by the end of the year and stuff like that. So, you know, it was, you know, it was a slower rollout than perhaps many had expected. And I think, you know, when you're launching something as well, you're going to have lofty ambitions.
Yeah.
But sometimes reality bites, and the wise, or, you know, make decisions based on the data they have, and focus on where their strengths are. And I think, you know, the decisions that they made in, you know, February this year are that, focusing on where their strengths are, and their strengths are partnering with people like LG.
Yeah.
Making it the de facto app for gaming on televisions, like it, you know, like Amazon or whatever, or Netflix. Make it the de facto app on smart TVs for gaming. Concentrate on that, and as you say, you've got them on the TCL TVs and all the Android TVs, that's Sony TVs, LG. They are doing some deals with Samsung here and there as well, so that would be a big thing. Make sure your app is part of that sort of built-in apps that come with the television and things like that, and you are slowly building a base, a significant base, of which people can then use your service to access the games. And then the next thing, as I said, is make sure they've got the games, which they are focusing on, the games that people are talking about, which are the games that are the new games as they're released throughout the year.
Storm, we'll close out on this, and I want to start with you, Storm. Our good friend Brian Chappelle of the Nerf Report, he's done a hell of a job as well, breaking down some things and putting things, I think, in a proper perspective. It's up to the listener how they condition it to their thinking, but up on the screen, I have one of his most recent tweets that kind of piggybacks off of what Clive has been saying, particularly on his fantastic Monday session. But Bryant asks, are we starting to see Google's new market strategy? Cyberpunk 2077 day and date free premiere. Little Nightmares 2 day and date free with Pro. Resident Evil 7 free with Pro. Resident Evil Village day and date free premiere. So are we, I mean, we saw that SG&E closed. Well, no, let me go back a little bit. We saw Cyberpunk 2077 and how it transformed the thoughts of general market about Stadia. I know people that know me personally, Storm, that know what I do as well as know me personally. And they say, hey, brother, we appreciate what you're doing, but get that Stadia ish away from me. Like, you know, get it out of my face before I break it over your head, right? That when Cyberpunk dropped, they were calling me up, oh yeah, man, look, I can play Cyberpunk. I've been waiting for this game all, man. Hey, tell me more about Stadia. My brother showed up, and remember, Storm, I was on the phone with you because we were doing the special late night SML podcast. My brother drove up from North Carolina, surprised me, knocked on my door, and showed me that he picked up 3 Stadia units so he could play Cyberpunk 2077 all over his house, right? So to Stadia's wildest imagination, Cyberpunk was a hit because I don't think nobody ever knew that Cyberpunk would only play well on high-end PCs and Stadia. You know what I mean? That those would be the two best, the $0 console. Those would be the 2 best places to play Stadia. And then that had a large reasoning into their decision with SG&E, right? For all intents and purposes. So they reform or they close down SG&E and they reallocate their resources. And now we're seeing all the things that Brian Chappelle brought up: Cyberpunk, Little Nightmares, Resident Evil 7, Village. We also see Outriders go from, oh, this game is coming later in the year to now it's day and date. And this is only March. So Storm, we're going to close out with this, and then I'm going to start with you, and then we'll finish off with Clive before we go to the after party. Are we starting to see, because you talked about this, are we starting to see the quote unquote new Stadia? Give us your thoughts.
I'll keep it very short. I'm going to say yes and no. Okay. And the yes comes from the fact that, you know, this is 2021, and now, you know, you're seeing games like Little Nightmares 2, Resident Evil 7, and Resident Evil Village and stuff, right? But at the same time, Cyberpunk kicked that off before we started wondering what the new strategy would be. So that's why I had to say no. You know what I mean? Okay. So basically the way I look at it, is that Google, they were making moves behind the scenes, y'all. The whole time we've been out here wondering what the hell they were doing. They've been making moves. They've been planning. You can't just pull these types of moves out of your rear. You know what I'm saying? You just can't do that, right? So I think that this is definitely a part of the plan. They already again, keep in mind, they had 2021 locked down. If we're going to believe what Jack Buser was saying, they had it in the bag. Now, SG&E closing down, y'all, stay with me real quick. That right there is when we're going to see the new marketing strategy, because that new marketing strategy, in my opinion, in my mind, might look like Activision, let's talk. Yeah, y'all been dodging the platform for a while now, but guess what? We closed down SG&E to go aggressively at your Call of Duty lineup, all of them. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Now, to me, that's just me. That's Project Storm. Now, I know one person in the chat thinks like me. Maybe 1,000 people in the world thinks like me. Maybe that could be the case, but that's how I feel about it.
Great point. Clive, what do you think? Do you think that, I mean, you talked about this. Do you think that this is the makings of the new Stadia? That, again, everybody that says, oh, no, this is the wind down, but no, this is just a pivot, closing down or tightening up of the more lofty ideas to a more solidified approach. Big ticket, whether it's AAA, indie, let's get to big ticket games. Let's get them here sooner. Let's get them under Pro where we can get them under Pro. Let's get them day and date. You know, if we can't get them day and date, we're going to get them under Pro. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a couple of interviews prior to the end of the year, last year, in which they touched on their listening. Yeah. Which means they're reading the rooms, they're reading the data. And, you know, you don't do things like this, as you say, it was always planned that Resident Evil Village was coming, and probably was going to come day and date and stuff like that. So yeah, all these things are kind of locked in, but I think what they, the closing of SG&E, part of that is to a refocus on doubling down on what works.
Yeah.
And discarding what doesn't or seems now like too big a risk.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of that, so these titles are locked in, but now they can refocus on making sure not only are they locked in, what can we do? Let's try 120% to make sure that they all arrive day and date, because that's the expectation.
Absolutely.
Let's have conversations with Activision, refocus some of that. Let's look at what's worked and what hasn't worked. Well, I tell you what did work. Cyberpunk, for whatever serendipity, the fact that it was such a potato on the old gen consoles, and it would have been good on Stadia anyway. But what it did is it put that whole scenario with Cyberpunk put a magnifying glass on Stadia. Wow. And Stadia was the one that was sort of left standing going, yeah, see, Stadia works. Not only works, it'll knock the socks off those old consoles, and it's on a par with the current kind of consoles right now in terms of where they are, in terms of people are in terms of development and stuff like that. So it proved it. And I think, the success of probably, again, I don't know behind the scenes, but the success of them shipping the Premier Edition with it is right now we're refocusing on making sure the big titles land. What can we do? What extra can we do? Now we've locked these titles in. Well, that worked with Cyberpunk. This is the first big title of the year, really big title of the year. Let's do that again. It's a win-win. Plus, we've got to get rid of all this stock of Premier Editions, because we're going to be doing brand new bundles in 7 months, in 3 or 4 months' time, probably. So, we're paying money to have them in the warehouse. So it's win-win-win. So bundle it with Resident Evil Village. Why not? So I think it's a refocus of money and marketing on going forward. That's how I see it. So I would say this is a new Stadia. I wouldn't say quite a new. I'd say it's a refocused Stadia.
Yeah.
Often when you make, big decisions like letting go of, a certain part of your organization or something like that, it's usually because you're refocusing on your strengths. I've been in a big major company where that happened. They had too many lofty ambitions, too many things happening. Yeah. And it needed to, let's just focus back down on what we need to do. And what our core business is, or what our focus is, and I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing so not a sort of a new Stadia. We're seeing a sort of renewed Stadia, a refocused Stadia. That's how I see it.
I think that's a great point. That's a great point. That we're seeing a refocused Stadia. I always say it, and I actually got some pushback on this, which I understand. But again, with my personal experience, it's not vindication. It's like, okay, now that you're seeing everything that me and Storm have said here, that Clive has said, Bryant and others have said, and maybe now we're roping you back into a more fathomable discussion. Let's talk. But there's a reason why I was saying things like the data collection phase, 12 to 18 months. You know what I'm saying? Because it's around those original 12 to 18 months that after you start rolling something out, then you start getting to that milestone to where they start clamping down a little bit more, and you start seeing the tone of the business model tend to get a little bit more serious, a little bit more focused, and significant changes happen. There's a reason why I was saying 16 to 18 months. And around the 16 to 18 month period, we had a big change with SG&E. And now we're seeing resources allocated to doing exactly what you guys told us, is what they're saying. You guys didn't say that when polled time after time, had to do it. When polled time after time, y'all, The thing that wasn't number one at the top of the poll was, ooh, I can't wait to see your first party game. Or, ooh, I can't wait to see what did Jason Schreier say? Spend $10 million on 3,000 indies. That's not what's at the top of the list. The number one thing that people across the board, whether they had the platform, were interested in the platform, didn't think it was good for them then, but said, in order for you to get me, this is what you got to do. Across the board, the number one thing was, y'all, get the big ticket games, AAA or any, whatever's the creme de la creme, get it day and date. That was number one.
Sir.
Number one. And that's what they're working towards. So, all right, y'all, great, fantastic show. Before we close out, I want to give a shout out to our good friend David Wendell with the $2. He said, top show, fellas. Thank you very much. And our good friend Victor Del Maestro, good to see you again, with the $1.49 with the sticker. He said, I'm buying y'all lunch, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Before we close out, any closing thoughts? And definitely let the people know where they can find you at. We'll start with you, Clive.
Yeah, just as I say, you know, we hope and assume that what we're seeing here is business as usual. And, you know, people who, as I said, I made a joke about people who sort of judge the number of games that are getting released in January with how many games are released in November is like going to your orchard in January and saying, where's Madame Apples? You know, it's like these things are seasonal.
Exactly.
And, you know, January and February is slow, but we're slowly seeing a build up. Yeah,
that's
people lack patience.
That's
People
all.
lack patience. So all I'm saying, this should be business as usual. We will see more of this. I expect we will see more of this, and going throughout the year as the big ticket titles land and come throughout the year. We'll just see. This will be, another announcement, and stuff like that. So very excited. It's as I say, it's a certain sort of, I don't quite like the word vindication, but just a sort of a reassurance, a self reassurance that I'm not completely mad, and that there is some sense that comes out of my mouth, and it is maybe worth listening to me now and then.
Every now and again.
It's more than a broken clock. It's not twice a day. I'm right a bit more than that.
More than twice. Clive, let the good people know where they can find you at, my good friend.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube /Clive Illenden. Every Monday night, I do the Stadia Monday night chat. I do it live. Join me. Then it's usually quite interesting. We do all the Stadia news, and an opinion or two is had and shared.
Storm, what are your closing thoughts? And after you give your closing thoughts, let the good people know where they can find you.
Closing thoughts are, I'm going to be playing games on this platform, and that's not even a joke around, man. I'm going to be playing Dirt 5 right after we get done with the after show. You know what I'm saying? Like, So I thought about something as Clive was speaking, man. And, you know, you think Phil Harrison doesn't know that Phil Spencer is there about to make a big deal with Halo Infinite later in the year. Now, I want y'all to think about this for a minute real quick, right? Cyberpunk late in the year. Other big games, Immortal Phoenix Rising later in the year, right? So, like Clive just said, they're probably going to rev things up as they saw last year. Last year was kind of like a success when it comes to marketing and everything. So I wanted to throw that out there. But look, y'all can find me on the Project Storm channel. You know, I will be doing the Dirt 5 stream and letting y'all know I haven't played but one race on the game so far. So what we're gonna experience will be live, uncut, and direct. So check that out at probably 3 Eastern. 3 Eastern I'm aiming for, unless we, go a little bit over. So let me shut the hell up so I can jump onto that on time.
Because he want to play these games.
I want to play these games. But look, you can find me on Twitter as well at the Nephophiliac. I'm always over there, engaging in conversation with the community and outside of the community. And it's always fun. But go ahead, MM.
Awesome stuff. My closing thoughts are, I'm still a little bit from Clive and you, Storm, and I'll make this quick because, again, we're going to have the after party directly after this. And again, before I go into my thoughts, I pinned the link to the after party up above. If the after party is for our members, and our member community is growing rapidly, and we thank you so much for all of your participation. We can't do this without you. We love you guys and gals. That being said, if you want to catch this after party, which is going to be fire because we didn't get to all of our topics. We're going to talk about this. I don't want to call it controversy, maybe a little bit of silliness behind Dirt 5 and its pricing. There's a little silliness behind it. And again, when I say silliness, if people personally feel a certain way about the price and they're like, it's not for me, that's fine. But there's some silliness that
don't give them too much. Don't give them too much now. Don't you do it?
They're gonna have to come. They're gonna have to come to the show and get to meet get the actual Fight Club. But there's a little bit of silliness behind. Oh my God, this is horrible for Stadia. We're gonna talk about that in the after show. So definitely, if you're not a member, you're gonna want to hit that join button. It's right next to that sub button. Hit that join button and become a member. And you got to be a member of either the prescription tier or the sure shot tier, the middle tier or the top tier, and you'll be able to catch the after party. All right. But with that said, my closing thoughts are going to be, you know what? I just feel that, like Clive and Storm said, I'm just going to play the games. I'm one to where, and I said this in my video, I'm one to where if you have that much concern, if every day that you wake up in beads of sweat all over your face and neck and earlobes, and you're like, I don't know if Stadia's going to make it to midnight. I don't know if the Stadia's going to make it to the end of the day. Then it's probably best for your health to leave the platform the hell alone. to unplug from all, because there's no need for you to go through that rigor of playing Groundhog's Day every day that you wake up. I don't know if Stadia's going to make it. I don't know. Why do that to yourself? But for the rest of us that are enjoying the games, that are enjoying the platform, that look fruitful to the future, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to have fathomable discussions, pros and cons around that. For those of you that, again, are in the vicinity of, I don't know if Stadia is going to make it tomorrow, everything's going to get yanked, what's going to happen? I know we call this Stadia Dosage, but I don't have the medicine for you. You're more than welcome to sit in our lobby. I'm not going to tell nobody to sit, but I don't have the medicine for you. If that's, you know what I mean? So my message to everybody is just, if you want to be in this, on this platform or any platform, Xbox, just enjoy the damn game. Just play the games and enjoy the damn games. Those are my closing thoughts. All right. Catch us in the after party directly after this. If you stay tuned and you are a member, you're going to be automatically directed. That's the wonders of technology. It's going to direct you right to the after party. However, if you're not, again, hit that join button. You can catch me either here on the Stadia Dosage platform. There's going to be some great stuff happening in April. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. And you can catch me on MM2K videos where I'm doing a lot of stuff, particularly with Outriders. Check me out there. With that said, thank you everybody for coming through. We're about to have that bomb diggity conversation over at the after party. Join us now. With that said, you all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.